Yeah.
You ain't got everybody.
Well, y'all good. You gotta sit. What you call it? Oh, is there a camera on you, Cuff?
No. The only thing you see is me and him.
Yeah, that's fine.
Go. Tilt it back just a hair. Bam, there it is. That's me and Jeff.
Y'all want the joint sideways?
Oh, good point.
Yeah.
We're sideways.
I can't get it to go up and down.
Yeah, it's not gonna stand up and down.
It ain't your little clip thing ain't long enough?
No, it ain't long enough.
I will switch phones and use my phone.
Some of the bars and Friday.
Is that right?
Yeah, it's only got me though in there now.
Yeah, Jeff in there.
It's only got me.
We need one. Okay, so we got Jeff. That one there needs to be facing that way.
Yeah.
That one needs to be facing this way.
That's not going. That's Instagram. That one is Instagram.
Okay, so we're good on the YouTube camera.
Yeah, we're good on the YouTube cameras. Yeah, that's just Instagram. Record. It's already recording. Oh, it's already recording. It started.
We're live.
We live.
All right,
We
so
live. There you go.
Hand me that thing. Get that out of y'all's background. That Sprite bottle right there.
So I'm gonna come over. Yeah. You get to grab me some.
What you got back there?
Some 4 roses. I got some monkey shoulders.
You just want a shot?
Man said he couldn't hang.
no, I can't. That's good though. All right, y'all ready to get this going?
Yeah, that's a good show right there. That's a good show right there now.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yeah, let's go.
Welcome back to the Vision Lab podcast in partnership with Nexum Creative. I'm your host, Ryan Cuffey, alongside my co-host, Mr. Ryan Mosley. The Vision Lab is a platform focused on growth and exploring the developmental path of people's visions and dreams and how those dreams come into reality. It's all about tapping into the best versions of ourselves. Today, we've got a living legend in the building. We're actually in his building today, burning a couple of sticks, having some good beer, and we're going to have some great conversation. Yo, Mo, what do we have on the show today?
Today's guest is a native of Sarasota, Florida, by way of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. He's been cutting hair since he was 14 years old. He is the owner of the establishment we are in. The astute gentleman here at 14223 Inwood Road in Farmers Branch. Zip code 75244. Everybody, please welcome the one and only Jeff, the world-class Barber Davis, to the Vision Lab podcast.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Come on in, OG.
OG gonna get these cameras set up. Going backwards a little bit.
Appreciate you sitting
That's
down
all right.
with us, sir.
Oh yeah, definitely. Thank you for having me. Appreciate you for having me. This is
Long time coming.
long time coming. Yeah. So, we are building. Yeah, everybody's still building and recouping. People that are were in the process of building had to stop for a minute. People that's been building, we all had to stop for a minute and do what we need to do, but it's been a beautiful thing. I think everybody around this table has been blessed to be able to still go.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So, Cuff and I know you a little bit, but we're going to open it up for those who are just meeting you for the first time. Can you just you got a hell of a story. Can you give us a little bit of background on yourself?
First of all, wow, I don't even know where to start. I'm a barber. I've been been cutting hair since I was 14. I've been behind the chair since I was 14. I started cutting my own hair when I was young, probably about 10, 11, something like that. Grew up in Sarasota, Florida. Born in Milwaukee. For those that know me know I can't stand Milwaukee. I love Florida. Florida is home for me. I've been in Texas now for 12 years. This is my second barbershop. Astute Gentleman is my second barbershop. Back in Milwaukee, I had a barbershop called Tight Edges. It was a sports barbershop. That was my first barbershop. And haircutting has been my first love. Well, my second love, because I played football as well. So yeah, I've been around for a while, man, and I'm looking forward to retirement in probably about 5 or 6 years.
No.
Yeah, man.
No, come
yeah.
on, man.
Just getting started.
Yeah.
Well, you know, I ain't just getting started. How many barbers do you know at 50 years old can say they've been cutting for 37 years?
You got a point. You got
You
a
know,
point. So,
and made a career out of it.
so that leads into my first question to really open this thing up, right? This is the Vision Lab. And I'm curious, and I would imagine Cuff is too. When did you envision yourself owning your own
Turn it
shop?
around. Immediately. I opened my own shop. I like telling a little bit of history about myself. I am a 3-time convicted felon. I did state and federal time, and when during my time, I also cut hair. But when I got out of the Fed joint, I decided that I was going to just continue to make a career out of cutting hair. So I had been cutting hair since, but I just, kind of just stopped and was pursuing my football career. So I lost my football career when I went to the Fed joint, and decided to pursue my haircutting career. Just cutting hair and doing what I needed to cut hair. While I was locked up, I said to myself, I wrote down 5 things I was going to do when I got home. And opening my own barbershop in 5 years was a goal. I actually did it in 3. So actually 2. I got out in '98, and by 2000, summer of 2000, I was in my own shop.
So you just mentioned, obviously, 3-time felon. What was like you said, you lost your football career. What was your darkest moment? Because I'm sure, everyone who goes through that situation has some form of a moment of clarity, if you will.
What
was your lowest moment?
Sitting there knowing that it was over for me, as far as football was concerned. I was sitting in the county jail and knew that I was on my way to prison. But as I was sitting there, I knew, had I not been in the position that I was in, that I would have made the team. And knowing that I had been invited back for my 3rd workout, knowing that I had been, it had been talked to me about, with my agent, about signing a contract. To the extent of what contract, the contract, what it was going to be, we didn't know yet, but I knew I was going to make the team. So sitting there and knowing that my football career was over with was tough for me. And knowing, and you'll hear a lot of people in prison say, I ain't do nothing. I didn't do nothing. And that's just real. I went and did Fed time for something that somebody else did. And yeah. And I was on parole already. So when I went in to go do the time, it was my parole being revoked and being in a federal facility, with a bunch of guys that had done something and I hadn't done anything. It was just said, it was just a rumor, or it was the guy that actually did it. He used me as an accomplice and said, Jeff did this and Jeff did that. So they brought me in, questioned me, and decided that they were going to convict me as well.
Okay. So you back out. How was, again, like I said, you know, your football career is over. Like, you already know in your heart of hearts.
Right.
How was your adjustment back to society?
Oh, man. For the second time in my life at that point, I came home with nothing. So I got out with nothing, at zero. So you got to think having nothing and knowing that you're supposed to have certain things. I don't rely on people. I don't. So I had to really decide to do what it was that I was going to do. Whatever I was going to do, I was going to do it, and I was going to do it to the fullest. So everything that I decided to do coming out is what I did. And I did. I hustled, you know, and I just kept to myself. I cut hair. I cut hair and everything that I did was about me cutting hair and getting ready to open my own shop. So I had to grind. I didn't go back home to my mom's house. I didn't rely on other people. It was me doing what I had to do to survive.
Given that you found yourself locked up at one point for something that you have already said you didn't do, when you're back out, can you talk about the place you had to go to mentally to where you, like you just said, I'm no longer relying on anybody else?
Yeah.
Essentially, you bet on yourself.
Yeah, and that's that. I mean, I've always been that way. Even as a kid, I've always been that way. But you know, sometimes you revert back to relying on other people and listening to other people. So when I came home, it was literally me against the world. You know, whatever I wanted to do, I did. Whatever I decided to do, I did. Whatever motivation I had, it was created by me. And I knew my biggest motivation was I was pursuing custody of my son when I went in. So when I came back out, I continued that pursuit. And having my son was a big thing for me because I was like, nah, I know I can't go back. So knowing that I didn't want to go back and that I wasn't going to go back, and I made up in my mind that I was never going back, those were my two biggest things. And being able to get my strength, gather my strength from God and listen to God and have that relationship with God, I kept pushing. And when you're able to keep pushing, people don't understand, when you're able to keep pushing and not rely on people and rely on God and yourself, nobody is better than you at what you do. And that's how I felt.
So nobody can be you better than you.
Exactly. So that was me. And I've always to this day, I'm 50, I'll be 51 in August, and to this day, man, I don't rely on other folk. You know.
August what?
20th.
Okay, I'm the first.
You're the first. So you're like
I'm a Leo.
You're a Leo, but you're like
through.
through and through. And I give it to you, you know, but you got the sprinkles of it because you were just kind of coming in.
No.
At the end, towards the end is when they poured on heavy.
No, we started it out.
But you started out, yeah.
I want to go back to that moment in time, and I want to talk about a little bit of pain, right? When you were in the courtroom and you got convicted, what was that feeling like? Can you talk to our visionaries that are tuning in on YouTube or on Facebook, or Instagram, what that was like, that moment?
Man, first of all, I consider myself a giant. I'm 6'6". At that time, I'm 230, 235, 6'6", 235, and I cried because I'm not one of them dudes that, like, I'm not an emotional dude. I don't show emotion unless I'm really pissed. But I cried, and I cried right there in the courtroom. I went back to the cell. I cried. I think I probably could tell you that I cried about 5 times. You know, because when you know you're a shoe-in, when you know this is your time, when you know that the door has opened for you to walk through, and just as you walk through, you hit bottom, that's tough. And I cried. But when I got to the federal facility in Duluth, Minnesota, I had to say, okay, this is it, and you got to be able to pick yourself up.
So while you're in, how do you maintain your focus on the outside world and having that dream crystallize?
There's no outside world. I wrote maybe 5 letters while I was in, and I got 3 responses. One of them was from my mother, and 2 of them was from my daughter. I got 4 responses because my daughter's mom wrote me, and I didn't want to visit. I just needed a little bit of money. I was gonna hustle while I was there. I was cutting hair. I was doing what I needed to do to survive there. And stay out the way. So I cut hair. I did a little hustle. I worked out because even though I know my football career was over, I was gonna go out and play semi-pro. So I worked out. I probably gained about 5 more pounds of muscle. And I went home and I played semi-pro football and I cut hair. So
now we turn the corner, right? Tight edges. Can you tell us what the thought process behind tight edges was? And I've got a follow up to it. Trust me.
Tight edges. Honestly, man, I was at one of my dad's a preacher, and I was at one of his conventions at his church, and this homeless guy, he was doing some things for homeless folks, and this homeless guy was sitting there, and he and I were talking, just regular conversation, and he said, "So you cut hair?" I was like, "Yeah, I cut hair." He said, "If you ever open a barbershop, call it Tight Edges." And I did, and it was I was the first only black owned barbershop on the south side of Milwaukee. Nobody crossed the bridge. Nobody decided to cross the bridge but me. I crossed the bridge, went to the south side of Milwaukee, and I was the first black owned barbershop. So Tight Edges immediately.
The only game in town.
The only game in town. And the fact that I cut everybody's hair, white, Caucasians, whatever you want to call them, Indians, Hispanic, black, I cut hair. So that became the thing. And when people saw that, all of the other barbershops around, 3 barbershops around me closed within 6 months. And their barbers wanted to come work for me. So I went from me solely in 800 square feet. In 10 months, I was in 2,000 square feet with 20 barbers. And it was instant. Everything was instant. So, but Tight Edges, it had a meaning. Tight Edges, it is simple as plain. You know, I always used the straight razor. I never pushed the edge up back. And if I did, you'll never know. You know, but we all make mistakes. All barbers make mistakes. I'm not perfect. You know, I just want to be the best barber that I can be.
But make no mistake about it, you wouldn't have been in business for so long if you didn't know what you were
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Definitely.
Was there anybody specifically that inspired you to pick up clippers?
Yeah, my dad. My dad used to mess my head up. Like, for real, man, he was like,
picked up the clippers out of necessity.
yeah, like, I mean, 8, 9 years old, I got this bowl cut. I mean, and people know, really, dog, I had a bowl cut. Like, and I was like, hey, Pops, man, I don't remember how old I was, but I knew by the time I was 14, I had the neighborhood on my porch, you know, and cutting their hair. And it was beautiful, you know, but he was like, yeah, here, you know, you understand. And I understood at that point that I was going to have a lot of bald heads. I knew there was going to be a lot of bald heads. And by the time I got to high school, my senior year in high school, and this is understandable, in my freshman year in high school, in 84, I was doing designs in 84. That stuff Big Daddy Kane used to do, I had Mickey Mouse in the back of my head and all that stuff.
Now.
Yeah.
So I want to get into mindset because you've had a lot of challenges. You've dealt with a lot of different things, being incarcerated a couple of times, and you've made it out. And you made it out in a big way. You're very successful. We're gonna touch on more of the initiatives that you've got going on and that you've had going on. But what type of mindset does an individual need to have to overcome the type of adversities that you've had to endure and overcome?
I will say this first. Everybody is not like me, and everybody. I used to try to get people to think like me, but I understand that everybody can't think like me. Everybody can't move like me. My mindset was, even though, and I still say it today, even though I'm a convicted felon, I can do what I want to do. I'm not going to be this statistic, you can't do this because you're a convicted felon.
Do you feel like a lot of convicted felons use that as an excuse, maybe?
Yes, sir. I do. I do believe that because, and I'm an example. I mean, the only in Texas and in my life, the only issue I have ever had was getting a residence. And when I moved to Texas, I did a lot of different things to be able to get a residence and hide the fact that I was a convicted felon.
So let's pull back the curtain on that. You're talking about a hustle mentality.
Yeah, you got to have that mentality.
What did you do, legally, to make sure that you had a place to stay, make sure that you had, a little change in your pocket, make sure that you could start to fund your dream?
Legally, I created a tax ID number, and I used the tax ID number as my Social Security number.
Now, how did you know to do that? Was that something like when you picked that up?
Yeah. You learn. Yeah, you got free time, but
you got some free time. You crack some books.
Yeah, and listen, man, in the Fed joint, is like college for criminals. And you go to state joints, everybody want to be banging and stuff. Like Fed joint is like you can go in and get a doctorate in criminality, and it's crazy, but you learn all of those secrets. So I learned, just real quick, because the person I learned from is important. There was a guy, and I don't know if y'all ever remember that, there was a guy years ago that went to the Fed joint for taking a penny a day off of millions of bank accounts. And I don't know if y'all remember that, but he had a computer set up at home, big computer stuff set up, and for 8 hours a day, that was his job, to take a penny a day off of every account that he could for 8 hours.
That's going to add up to a lot
of money. And nobody misses a penny.
Yeah,
nobody's missing a penny.
You figure it's extra tax somewhere.
Yeah, somewhere. So he had access to all of these accounts, and he's the person that told me that. And I'm sitting down with this guy because, to me, he's the smartest dude here.
That's ingenious.
Yeah, like, what?
It's criminal, but it is ingenious.
It is right. So he is the person that told me, how to hide myself and how to secure myself in certain things. So I did that. And when I moved to Texas, I used my tax ID number and got an apartment. Now, and I haven't used that tax ID number since, because what I've begun to believe in more and more is that whatever I'm going to go through, God is going to have my back. So I would just literally tell people, listen, man, I'm a convicted felon, but I really need this house, or I really need this apartment. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. I run my own business, so on and so forth. And when you tell people the truth, the two landlords that I dealt with since I've been in Texas have been the only, other than the apartment that I lived in. I lived in the house, 3 landlords, but I lived in the house and I lived in an apartment in Arlington, and I live where I live now. And I told those people, listen, man, I'm a convicted felon. And when you tell him the truth, and he said, well, you know what I like, because both of them, I like that you told me the truth. Everybody else lied on the application. I'm going to give it to you just because you told me the truth.
But they say the truth will set you
free. It set you free.
Every time.
So, you're here in Texas. You're back on the hustle again. You're cutting hair. When did you? Because we're sitting in your establishment now.
Yeah.
The beautiful, the astute gentleman. When did
Thank
you
you.
have the vision for it? Like there had to be a light bulb moment, or what was the mechanism that triggered all of what we're sitting in now?
I was in retirement. My son had graduated from school, from high school, and I was at home chilling out. Astute Gentleman, actually, the original name was called the Gentleman's Lounge, the Gentleman's Spa Lounge. And I wrote that business plan in 2005 while I was in Tight Edges. And when I was in retirement, I said, I'm not going to cut hair no more. I'm done. I tried out I don't know. I didn't know. I had some money I actually was getting ready to move to Hawaii. And I just, I started a little car stereo. That's another little side thing that I do. I started a car stereo shop with a guy named Crazy Hair. He used to build boxes, and he was like the genius box builder. And I was driving down the street one day. I remember the day like it just happened 5 minutes ago. I was on my way to Wichita Falls, and God said to me, just like we're talking right now, said to me, you know you're not done yet. And I said, well, what do you want me to do?
Because you knew who was talking.
Yeah, I knew. I said, well, what am I supposed to do? So on my way back from Wichita Falls, I get a call, because I'm like, hey, he said, go back to school. I'm like, how am I supposed to go back to school? So I get a call about the new Obama care, something that Obama had done with the student loans. So the guy said, well, if you give us $250 right now, you'll be able to go to school in October. I pulled over on the highway, gave him my credit card information.
Okay.
And no sooner than I gave him my credit card information, when I got back into Arlington, I went back to school. I went and re-enrolled in school at Paul Mitchell. And sure enough, she saw it in the system that I'll be able to go back to school in October.
Gotcha.
So when I realized that was happening, all of a sudden, Astute Gentleman come, and it wasn't Astute Gentleman. I changed the name after I graduated from school because I wanted something different, something that people would grasp a hold of. Something,
Piece.
yeah, something that, in the word astute, is not an often used word. So, and the word astute is the alpha of extraordinary or distinguished, or when you think of those words, astute is the top. Astute is all of those things, because each one of those words means something different, but astute means all of those things.
Gotcha.
So astute, I was sleeping on it, slept on it, fell asleep on it, and once I woke up in the middle of the night and I said to my ex-wife, Astute Gentleman, Barber and Cigar Lounge. And she said, yes, and we both went back to sleep. And that was it, and Astute Gentleman was exactly what we said it was, and we rolled on that. I rolled on it, and it just happened. God really made it happen,
For those listening, we are live. We're recording this episode at the Astute Gentleman Barber and Cigar Lounge. That's 14223 Inwood Road in Farmers Branch, Texas. Zip code is 75244. Book your appointments online. Is that correct?
Yes, sir. But at astutegentleman.com.
Come in here, get a great steak while you get your hair cut, shave,
Whiskey,
beard trim, all
that. Yes, sir. Definitely.
What's interesting about your story, Jeff, and we're not done yet, which is really even more so incredible, is that you have this ability to reinvent yourself time and time again.
Yes.
You consistently show the ability to morph, to adapt and change, and roll with the punches, so to speak, which shows an incredible amount of intelligence to be able to. You talked about having your own stereo shop.
Yeah.
You've had multiple barbershops. Now you've got a and we'll touch on this here in a little bit, but now you've got a barbershop with a cigar spot in the back, you know. It's just incredible to see how much you've overcome and
Right.
what you've been able
Right.
to do. So we typically don't talk to our visionaries are a little bit older, right?
Mm-hmm.
Folks that are possibly looking to transition out of specific careers,
Right.
maybe become an entrepreneur. But I want to take a different approach with you today. I want you to talk to those that have been convicted, those that have a strike on their record, because you embody hope.
Right.
What is your message to those folks?
Don't claim the victim. You know, especially whether you've done something or not, the F is for functioning, and you got to be able to function. You're not a felon, you're a functioning person. You got to be able to move and roll with the punches. You got to be able to, and if you did a lot of time, you should have took your time and studied and find out what you can do and what you can't do. And there's no such thing of what you can't do. There's people that are trying to hold you back, and then you just know not to mess with those people. You know, you're an obstacle. I'm gonna go around you, and I'm gonna talk to the guy in front of you, or the guy behind you, or the guy that's willing to help people like me.
You know, what's interesting is that in all of your stops, whether it's Florida, Minnesota, Milwaukee, Texas, what have you, you've been a seeker of knowledge, right?
All the time.
And I think a lot of people want to ask questions, but don't know the right questions to ask.
Right.
What do you say to those folks that are hungry and have that true desire, but don't know how to go about getting it?
Well, when you're hungry, you'll eat anything. A lot of people that are starving will eat anything. When you're hungry, you select what it is that you want to eat, and you go and get it and you eat. So you have to be selective about the people that you deal with. You have to be selective about the things that you do. You have to be selective about your surroundings, who you hang with, how you hang with them, how much time you spend with them. You got to be selective of what you absorb from those people. You know, I mean, some people just have a negative aura, and I don't want those people around me. I can't stand negative. Hey man, come on, it's time for you to go, man. I don't want to be. Yeah, I don't want to be around you. Have a good day. I get negative people come in here to get a haircut, and man, this and that. What if this? What if that? What if that? I want to get them people in and out. Cause I'm cool with you coming to do business with me, but I don't want the aura.
You don't want it on me.
I don't want it on me. Yeah, I don't want it on me. So you got to always keep a positive perspective. Understand that for every negative, there's a positive. You know.
We're sitting in your shop, beautiful place.
Thank you.
Shout out to you on the renovations too.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Knocking the wall
last time
down.
we
Thank
been
you.
here, you know, we
That was
were in
crazy.
construction. We walked in this evening. It was like, hey, Jeff has done some work in here.
Thank you. Thank you.
So outside of your skill with the clippers, because obviously you wouldn't be doing what you've done for this amount of time without being skilled. What makes the astute gentleman, for lack of a better phrase, not your average barbershop?
Everything I did here, remodeling, everything you see here, I did myself. Outlets, wall paneling, demolition. I built my own humidor. Everything here, I use my own money. No loans, no nothing. Everything I've done here is my own blood, sweat, and tears.
You were completely 10 toes down.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. 20 toes if it was two of me, you know. But sometimes, and I used to say, I'm like, man, if it was two of me, we'd be in trouble. We'd be trouble around here. But I just love what I do. I see the vision. I ask God to give me the vision. I see it. I do it, and I'm done. You know. And now, at the point I'm at now, this is the 5th year anniversary again, and I remodeled this, and this is where I'm going. I'm rolling with this all the way out.
Hey, by the way, happy anniversary to you.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you.
Absolutely.
We're coming up on a year as well. well in regards to releasing episodes, and so we just felt like this was the time to get it knocked out.
Yeah, happy anniversary to y'all too.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Much appreciated. By the way, if you're tuning in still, make sure you go ahead and hit that like button as well as the subscribe button and share it with a friend. Here with Jeff, man, what an amazing story it's been thus far. And we talked about you taking advantage of opportunities, even in the middle of a downtrodden season, right? Here we are in the midst of COVID-19, the pandemic. We're starting to open things back up, but the last time that we were here, you didn't have all this back here. Well, you had it, but it didn't look like this.
Yeah.
So I want you to talk about taking advantage of an opportunity and how you really gave this place a facelift on the interior.
Well, I didn't sit down. I never sat down. I never stayed home. When they were telling people to stay home, I was still moving and shaking. For a moment, I was still cutting hair, and until they said, you're going to lose your license if you get caught. So I had to, finish. I just decided to finish doing what I was doing, to finish my remodel, do some marketing. I threw a couple of virtual DJ parties. You got to do things to stay relevant.
Be innovative.
Yeah. So
Because you didn't have anybody giving you $500,000 via.
exactly.
Via
But we done gave her enough shout outs. We done gave her enough shout outs, man. We're not gonna give her no shout outs. Cut her completely off. But I didn't sit down. I couldn't sit down. And this stigma that people have about black people, where if you make weed legal, it's just gonna make them lazier. You give people time off, they just gonna sit at home and do nothing. And a lot of people did.
Some people got better.
Yeah, some people have gotten better, and some people have gotten worse.
And that's really been our message throughout this entire pandemic is use this time to get better.
Yeah.
There's no reason why you can't come out of this stronger and better than you were, before this, 7-8 weeks ago, however long it's been for you.
Yeah, why is it that you can bleed on the floor, but you can't bleed off onto people? So take the time and take the opportunity to bleed onto people instead of bleeding on the floor, because on the floor it just get mopped up and they throw some bleach on it, it don't exist no more. But if you bleed onto a person, that person absorbs that, and this is a metaphor, but that person absorbs that and he understands that and I always say, if I can do it, if anybody should be able to do it.
Yeah.
Anybody, there's no such word as can't if Jeff Davis can do it. Because I've been through a lot of things, and I know people that go through things, and I tell them, hey, man, don't worry about that.
Because somebody's always got it worse.
Yeah, somebody's always got it worse. I'm not the greatest. I've been through a number of things, but I come through. It doesn't make me the greatest. It just makes me a guy that can come through. And I want people to understand that you got to be able to come through. Not just because I did, but I'm here to teach you and show you how you can, so you don't have to suffer anymore.
You just mentioned the word teach, and I remember the first time I ever came in here. Shout out to Fab for introducing us.
Yeah.
And you were talking about the type of place that you wanted. When young people come in here to get a haircut, it's more than just a haircut. They're going to learn something.
Yeah.
You're all about giving knowledge back. Like, we know that personally.
Yeah.
The way this broadcast is going on right now is because you were willing to share knowledge. Can you talk about the absence of teachers in our society in regards to people who are sitting on a wealth of knowledge and for whatever reason aren't willing to share?
A lot of people don't want to share because they feel like it's a waste of time. And I am one of those people that I've decided where to share and who to share with instead of sharing with people. So when I was at Paul Mitchell, there was approximately 300 students at the school. And I made the statement that 80% of you people are not going to make it in the barber and cosmetology business. They got mad at me when I said that, but it was a true statement. First of all, I've been doing this for a number of years, and a lot of y'all don't cut it.
School was a breeze for you.
Yeah, school was a breeze for me. Well, you know what? I take that back. School wasn't a breeze for me because I was there with a bunch of teenagers. I'm 40 years old and there with kids. You know, I was like, this is. But understand, you got to understand that, and life is this way. A large percent of people are not going to make it in life. And I'm not talking about living, I'm talking about life situations. People are going to bump their head and they're going to call concussion. I got a concussion, I can't do this. You know, people will twist their ankle and go sit up with their foot up all day for 2 or 3 years, and it's just a twist. You know, you ain't even tried to walk. You know, so you gotta have the ability to come back, bounce back. I love cutting hair and smoking fat ass cigars.
Yes.
You know.
Yes, sir.
So it's not. It's life. I'm doing what I love to do, and yes, I have issues. Yes, I go through things like everybody else does. But do you bounce back? Do you take the I don't care attitude, or do you take the I do care attitude and you keep pushing? You know.
I love the fact that you talk about, you know, keep pushing. You've got a number of things that you're pushing in terms of different events or activities that you've got going on. You know, when I walked in today, you were hosting your own show.
Oh yeah. Barbershop Talk with Jeff and Frey is something that I was doing a couple of years ago by myself, and you know, as you do things by yourself, you'll learn to understand that you need a team. Like y'all need a team. Y'all need each other. You know what I'm saying? Y'all two guys work good together. I've seen your shows. I see what you do, and not to say that you can't do it by yourself, but it's better to do it with each other.
Sure.
You know, so I stopped doing it. I joined forces with a person that boohoo, whatever, you know, and I keep moving. And I joined forces with my man Frey, and Frey is an artist, man. He does all of this paintings around here that you see in my lounge. True artist. He's a true artist. So Frey is my guy, man, and he's been working with me, and we've been doing this thing. We on our 3rd episode now, and so yeah,
welcome to the show, Frey.
Welcome to the show, Frey.
What's going on, y'all? Glad
move your glass.
Glad to be here. I'm sorry.
Absolutely.
Let me get that out the way.
Yes.
For those of you listening and or watching, when you come into the Astute Gentleman, you will see beautiful pieces of artwork that come straight from the hands of Frey.
Appreciate it.
Beautiful pieces of artwork, my man.
Thank you, brother.
So I walk in, you know, getting ready to do the interview, and these two brothers are really bringing some heat, talking about a lot of good things. Jeff's got this set up. First time that we're using it, and I want to give a quick shout out to Switcher.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, Switcher Studios, man.
Hey,
Switcher Studios.
I appreciate this too, man, because this is fun playing around with. But yeah, I walk in and I see, you know, Jeff and Frey, and they've got a good vibe going on and everything that he said. And so, Frey, I want to bring you in on the show, kind of talk about what you guys are doing on your show.
Well, as my man Jeff said, we started Barbershop Talk. When I met Jeff, he already had the podcast thing jumping already. So, you know, I just kind of sat back in the cut and watched how he did it, and I ended up joining him in another situation with the podcast thing. And, you know, as it fizzled out, you know, Jeff just kind of pulled my coattail and was like, hey, yo, it don't have to stop here. We can do it. And one thing, like, as I've listened in the interview with him that y'all spoke on that is true, and I could vouch for it as well as y'all can, is that Jeff is a teacher. And he'll see something in you and he'll pull it out. He ain't going to leave you behind. If he sees it in you, he going to pull it out. And so my man just said, hey, we can do it. Let's just get together. We sat down, and that's how Barbershop Talk with Frey and Jeff came about.
So what is Barbershop Talk with Frey and Jay all about?
Basically, barbershop talk. You know, when you go in your average barbershop, sometimes you know how it is, old school. You talk sports, you talk life, you talk business, current events. Yeah. and that's just what it is. The element of it that you saw today, since we're just 3 episodes in, we were at this table. But the true element of it is to capture a barber and an artist in dialogue with the people in this shop. So you're going to get, as the show progresses, God willing, you're going to see a whole lot of different people talking with us, you know. But like I said, the element that we thought would be cool, there's a few other barbershop podcasts where they're basically just sitting in chairs, but we decided to capture the element of him and his element, me and mine. So going on in the future, you'll catch him over there talking, and you'll catch me on this side painting. So, you know, that's kind of our thing. So
Let me ask Jeff a question, because before we got started, these gigantic cans were placed on the table before us.
Yeah.
Jeff, can you speak about who Odd Muse is and what these gigantic beer cans are in front of us?
Odd Muse is a beer company, a brewing company that I have partnered with. So when you come here to get a haircut, we have taps, we have kegs in the refrigerator. I call it, it's called a kegerator. And you have the kegs in the refrigerator. You walk up and you have beer. This Odd Muse is, they're a self-brewing company, and they have all kind of beers. Like if you like beer, but you don't like the regular beer taste, so they have strawberry beer, cherry beer, orange beer, grapefruit beer, coffee beer, Russian. This is a Russian stout, and they make this,
and it's amazing too. By the way, I'm a big fan.
Yeah, you see, we 3 cans in.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, and this, so I'll have this on tap. And at any time, if you like beer and you don't want to come and be in this cigar atmosphere and come get your haircut, you can go right around the Odd Muse. He has a huge lounge, and they sit there and drink beer and conversate.
You know what's really cool about, and I talked a little bit about this earlier, how you evolved and you changed with everything. I thought it was interesting. One of the first times that we met, you told me, I am the first barbershop with a cigar lounge.
Yes.
And then you got the barbershop talk. Now you got beer in here on tap. I mean, you just constantly are reinventing yourself.
You have to. In the barber industry, you have to. It's not just about haircuts. I tell people, if you're just cutting hair, there's an end to that. There's an end to that. You have to, because people are not always going to want to get their hair cut by you. So you have to create another way to draw attention.
You know, really what you're doing is creating an experience.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
We've got folks in the back right now.
Yeah.
That aren't getting haircuts, but they're here chilling. They bought a stick, and your drinks are free.
Complimentary. The drinks are complimentary. Yeah, you buy a stick, you come in here and drink. I don't want you to come in here and get drunk. I want you to come in here and relax.
Yeah, we need to be responsible.
Yeah, you got to be responsible. Yeah.
Which I alluded to these giant beer cans on the table, and let me go ahead and handle our business. Thank you to all of our sponsors. Next Creative, thank you so much. We appreciate all the help that you guys have given us. Robert Garcia and the Farmers Insurance Agency family in Lucas, Texas, thank you so much. We look forward to seeing you again shortly. Edwina, or EB as we call her, and the family over at Blowing Smoke.
Yeah, what's up, Edwina?
We look forward to seeing you very, very soon. And the good guys of Definition Cigars.
What's up, fellas?
Congratulations to you guys on the release of your flavored sticks. You guys put a lot of pressure on everybody. We look forward to seeing y'all soon as well.
Yeah, DC, y'all need to stop leveling up, because you're hurting some feelings out here.
They hey, look.
Shout out to the entire crew.
Yeah, they doing their thing. And I applaud those guys, man, because, however you do it, whatever you do and however you do it is great that it gets done. It has to get done. Somebody's got to do it. And if somebody is doing it, why doesn't it have to be you? Why can't it be you?
Preach.
Well, speaking of doing something, Dallas Cigar Week. Can you talk to us about that?
Dallas Cigar Week. You know what? I'm going to bring my boy in, because I'm a part of it. Listen to detail, Joffrey. I'm gonna bring my boy Joffrey in, and he'll give you a little more detail on on Cigar Week, Dallas Cigar Week. I'm a part of it. Even though I'm a part of it, I give the ideas, but as far as speaking on it, I can't speak on it as well as he will.
Gotcha. Come on in and have a seat, Joffrey.
So, and I want to know, before Joffrey gets settled in, because we're doing this live, by the way.
Yeah.
Shout out to you again.
Yes, sir.
Where did this idea of even having a cigar week kind of come from?
Everywhere. It's not being done here in Dallas. One.
We talked offline about this too.
Right. So to be able, yeah. So it's not being done here in Dallas. It's being done everywhere but in Dallas. And Dallas is huge. So we deserve to have our own. We deserve to have something here in Dallas. And it's been tried, and bigger minds have come together and we're making it happen. No disrespect to the guys that didn't make it happen. You just couldn't make it happen. And no disrespect to them, but they're part of the cigar world like we are.
Sure. So Joffrey, welcome to the show, Vision Lab Podcast. Certainly glad to have you join us here in the lab. Big ups to Jeff for bringing you on. So we want to talk about Dallas Cigar Week.
Okay.
Let's get into the nitty gritty of it. Jeff just kind of told us the start of the origination point. What's the vision for Dallas Cigar Week?
So, like Jeff was saying, if you've ever traveled around with the cigar world, period, you have Big Smoke Miami, Big Smoke Vegas. You have Atlanta Cigar Week. You have DC Cigar Week, Chicago Cigar Week.
Joffrey, man, cut it out with the voice, man. This talk, man. What
I'm
you doing?
talking, dude. What is you talking about?
with the DJ voice.
This, first of all, this is me.
It's finna go dead.
But
the camera's going dead.
So honestly, I do a big birthday bash every year, right? For myself personally, and I do it here in Dallas. I've been doing it about 10, 11 years now. I usually rotate about 150 to 200 people in the town every year for my birthday, King Holiday weekend. One of my best friends from college, Jovan Riley, he's out of Atlanta. He actually pitched the idea to me and was like, why can't you do this?
Right.
And, I sat down with him. He showed me everything that was going on in Atlanta. And I told him, I was like, dude, that's a dope concept, but that's, I couldn't pull that off by myself. He was like, so people? He was like, everywhere you go, you're doing exactly what they're doing for these cigar weeks. You go into a cigar spot, you smoke, you drink, have a good time, then you end it with a party. And I was like, yeah. He was like, so what's different about this?
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what, dude? You make a whole lot of sense about what you're doing right now. So when the concept was born, I just thought about people that I wanted to get with. Got like-minded people to be on the board with me. Naturally, I came to Jeff.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur, barbershop, cigar shop, aficionados. So it's like, okay, definitely got to get him on. And then it's like 3 other members. Jeff Jefferson is back there. Alfred Wilson is a part of the club. Stephen Brooks is a part of it. And I wanted to get people involved that, for lack of better words, we're not looking to make money off of each other. We're not looking to kill each other. We're not, off of financial gain or whatever. It's like we genuinely have an interest in the leaf. We genuinely have an interest in people being able to come out, smoke, party, have a good time, and actually promote Dallas as a center, as a hub for what it is. Because I'm like, you're looking at a city that's one of the largest cities in America, one of the fastest growing cities in America, and it's like, as far as cigar smoking is concerned, that is a big venue across the country. So why not Dallas is the question we asked each other. You have Monte Cristo and Cigar International right here, 2 of the largest, competitors in the cigar game right now. Monte Cristo takes their brand to Houston every year to do an event.
Houston has a cigar week. We've actually sat down and talked to those guys that put this event on, and they were actually looking at putting on the event here. But, you know, we beat them to the punch. It's like, yo, we got a couple of fellas, we're together. We're putting this event on. We're trying to get people together and frequent these locations around the city and come out, you know, promote these small businesses, because you have a lot of black-owned businesses. You have a lot of cigar shops. This isn't a black-owned event. This is a cigar smokers event. So we want to bring everybody out just to enjoy the city and see how Dallas does it. Now, the caveat to it is we didn't just do it for Dallas. We actually own the rights to Dallas Cigar Week and DFW Cigar Week. So as this grows, we grow. So it's all about the participation, right? So as people get involved with it and show interest in it, this only expands, it gets bigger. And we're just trying to put Dallas on the map for a city to come to and visit and enjoy what we do every day. Like, this is what we do.
That's what's up, man. That's amazing.
Yeah.
And one more time on the week.
It's August 4th through August 9th. So
Where can I get information about that?
we have a website. The website should be available here in 2 weeks. The only reason it's delayed right now is because of the COVID pandemic right now. But things are still in the background. We're still working. We're still meeting. The reason we're here tonight, this is our meeting night, but you know, Jeff had the podcast and the interview, and we didn't know about it. But hey, we appreciate you guys coming out. I appreciate the opportunity to be on the show to talk about it. So yeah, it's an event that's going down. We kind of centered it around the beginning of football season. Naturally, we can't compete with the Cowboys and everything else is going on.
Say that again.
Wait a minute, hold up, time out. Let me turn it.
Okay, so
Bang bang Niner gang. Bang bang Niner gang. But you know, if you pay attention to the dates, it coincides with the beginning of preseason football. So we were tying it in to say, hey, this is a kickoff for naturally the end of the summer going into the fall.
Right.
Good week to have it. We're actually reaching out to the city of Dallas to get behind us and try to get a proclamation for it so it can become a yearly event. We own the rights to the event, so it's something that, you know, even with the pandemic coming on, you know, if 2020 turns out to be 100 to 200 people or just local people coming out to support it, that's great. But just know that within the next 2 to 5 years, it's going to be bigger.
Oh, it's going to pop for sure. I
Yeah.
have no
Yeah,
doubt. I
definitely.
have no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, certainly appreciate you jumping into the lab to talk about it. We're excited about it. Now it's time to kind of land the plane.
All right. So we ask everybody these two questions. I got the first one. We're sitting at a round table just like the one we're in front of right now, right?
Yes, sir.
It's you and 5 other people. Who are those 5 other people? They can be dead or alive. The only stipulation to it is you can't have, you know, Jesus at the table. So you wouldn't want to sit next to him.
Can't have Jesus at the table.
That's too easy.
5 people at the table. One, of course, will be me. There's that,
You already in.
already
You
had it. So 5
people.
other people. My dad, my Uncle James, he's passed away. My dad's twin brother. Jay-Z.
It's 3.
Oprah Winfrey. Oprah Winfrey.
One more. You got to think about this. This might be a party, so you got to have some entertainment in there now.
Richard Pryor.
Ooh.
We have,
Have we had that?
no, we're coming up on a year, and you're the first person to say Richard Pryor.
Yeah.
I'm proud of you for that. 'Cause we get Oprah, we get Jay-Z, we get The Rock, and
Right.
obviously others against other great people. But you're the first person to say Richard Pryor.
Right.
Yeah.
Richard Pryor is he's that guy that people should think about when you think about people that been drugged through the mud. You know, and dead or alive, they just still drag that guy through the mud. And he's still, when you think about the top 5 comedians, he's still number 1 or 2. All this time, he's still number 1 or 2.
His work speaks for itself.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So he's that guy for me because my work speaks for itself.
Love that.
And being drugged through the mud and being through the things that I've been through, I pushed through. He happened to make his funny. I'm not a comedian. I'm not a comedian. Now I can make fun of some of the things that I've done, and I do all the time. But I can appreciate that, because you got to make a positive out of a negative.
Love that. All right, so before we land this plane, I've got 2 more questions for you. But before we do that, I want to ask you, how can our visionaries get a hold of Jeff and Astute Gentleman?
Astute Gentleman, Barber and Cigar on Instagram. Astute Gentleman on Facebook. Jeffrey, the World Class Barber on Facebook. The World Class Barber Davis. AstuteGentleman.com. Jeffrey, World Class Barber on LinkedIn.
Book your appointments ASAP.
Yeah, book your appointments ASAP.
He does good work.
Show up here.
He does good work.
I do walk-ins one time, period. One time. And you pay extra $5 because you walked in.
Yeah.
So, I mean, take it how you want it. Or you can call me at 972-674-9662.
All right.
AstuteGentleman.com. Jeffrey, World Class Barber Davis.
There it is. All right. So, certainly appreciate you opening up your fine establishment to us.
Thank you.
As
Thank
we
you.
land this plane, I've got one final question for you, okay?
Mm-hmm.
What, now, in today's days, in case you didn't know, we have a time machine,
Right.
okay? So what would today's version of Jeffrey be telling himself from 5 years ago? What advice would he be giving himself?
Tell you that before we started.
That's a good one. I like that question. That simple answer is the thing that I've been telling myself for 25 years. Keep pushing.
Keep pushing.
Keep pushing. There's more to do.
All right.
You know.
Now, we're going to make you 5 years older. Okay, so forgive us. You're 5 years older now. What would the older version of Jeff, what advice would he be giving you today?
Make sure you do what it is that God has for you to do. Make sure when you get here at 55, make sure you have done everything that God would have for you to do. Make sure you use all your talents, all the gifts. Make sure you use those. Whatever those are, make sure you use those.
I love that. I love that.
OG. Appreciate you, man.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
It's been an honor to chop it up with you here in your establishment. To all of our visionaries that are still tuning in, remember, each one of our guests are dropping nuggets on the trail of life, and it's really up to you to pick them up on your journey.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Ryan Mosley. He is Ryan Cuffey. The voice you've been listening to for the last probably close to an hour is Jeffrey, the World Class Barber Davis, here at the Astute Gentleman. And we'll see you next week on another great episode of the Vision Lab Podcast.